All right, welcome back to the Soul Fresh Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Michael King, aka BK, and today we've got a very special episode lined up. Joining me is my co-host, Michael Jones from Controversial Conversation Podcast. It's always great to have him back in the studio. Today we're sitting down with someone who's been at the heart of our leadership right here in Warner Robins, Georgia, Mayor LaRhonda Patrick. She's running for re-election and is here to share her vision for the future of our city. It's been 4 years since she's been on the podcast, and we want to have a fact-driven conversation and talk about her accomplishments, the challenges facing Warner Robins, and what her plans to continue moving the city forward. From economic growth to community safety, infrastructure, and citizen engagement, nothing is off the table. Also, we have reached out to the other candidate running for mayor, Fabian Velasquez. He has agreed to join us on the podcast, and we are in the process of waiting on a confirmation date. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into an open, honest conversation about the future of Warner Robins. Now let's get it. All right, Mayor Patrick, welcome to the Soul Fresh Podcast, or I should say welcome back to the Soul Fresh Podcast. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy to be back.
That's good.
And talk to you.
All right, I appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Yeah, definitely glad to be here as well. First and foremost, we saw the recent announcement of the homeless shelter that will be, I believe, opening next week, I believe.
Yes.
Very, very much congratulations on that. I know that is a big accomplishment, not only for your administration, but for the city as a whole. So it's been touted sometimes as the first city homeless shelter. And I guess the question that I first would have is this a actually city ran facility, or is this going to be a community involvement as well? And what would be the facilitation as far as like staffing and funding?
Okay. So just to clarify, so this will be the first shelter that the city has something to do with.
Okay.
We have a few other shelters in our city, but this is the first one in general that will reach up to 50 people.
Nice.
A full service eventually, but it will not be run by the city. It's owned by the city. It's our baby. So we leave it with the people that are experts at raising the baby. Mm-hmm. So we'll be announcing who will be running the shelter at a ribbon cutting as well.
Okay.
So will this be like, as far as when you say running the shelter, so will this be something that will be faith-based led, or, some type of church?
It will be faith-based led.
Okay.
The organization that will be running the shelter comes from a faith-based organization, though their theory on transforming lives is not based on faith.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that you said that, because that was one of the major concerns is, would there be stipulations on the individuals coming if they weren't of the same faith, or would there be a potential, not necessarily indoctrination, but pushing people towards the faith to allow them to stay in the shelter, things like that?
No, we don't do that at our shelter.
Okay.
But that's one of the good things about us owning it,
Right.
because we can dictate what happens there. It just so happened that the giving organization who is willing to do this and not charge us $1 million a year happened to be an organization that comes out of faith-based, that was already in the community serving those who are homeless, and they have a great reputation. Though for those who do want to explore faith options, they'll have that opportunity as they would however we were to do it, but they are not forced to subscribe to any type of religion, or they're not forced to engage in religious practices at the shelter.
Right.
Okay. I definitely appreciate that point of clarity. Because like I said, we don't want to ascribe any, negative connotations to any type of organization that might be in charge of stuff. But we know if you do have a certain type of ideology that you lead with, you might be kind of forced to try to push people towards it. But seeing as that's not something going on, I think it's really incredible. And once again, congratulations on being able to open this next week. What's the official date?
Next Friday.
Friday.
I think that's October the 17th.
And you guys got the ribbon cutting and everything.
Yeah, the ribbon cutting takes place then. We get to do their tours and see the space. they'll hear from those who are going to run the shelter, and also hear about different programs we're going to have, not just for those who are in the shelter who will sleep there, but also for the community.
Nice.
So how's the city going to reach out to the homeless to, I don't want to say advertise but how are you going to get the homeless to the shelter? What kind of programs are we putting in place to say, this is going to be a safe space for the homeless?
Well, we have a person that's already in the community speaking to the homeless, and he is our outreach liaison. So he's our outreach person for the city. Can't think of his title, but he is a person that is going in the woods, talking to the homeless, getting their trust, connecting them to the services even before the shelter opens. Because we started the Homelessness Coalition, and that coalition is already working in the community, getting individuals who want to get out of homelessness, helping them connect to the resources to transform their lives. And so far, we've had about 50 people who were homeless, and they are now connected to the resources, living and thriving on their own. And we haven't had any backslides.
Okay.
Nice.
So that comes from the coalition, which is a collection of organizations, faith-based, non-faith-based, medical-based, whatever base, they all come together. It's over 100 organizations. And in that network, they'll see what this person needs, put all the connections together, and they get their services.
Gotcha.
So the homeless know that it's coming. They've been hearing about it as long as we've been hearing about it. They ask about it. They're anxious. And some of them will use it just for a place to sleep and get food from the community to help them get a new start.
So I know as election time comes, we tend to kind of correlate certain things. So we might correlate homelessness to crime. And that's obviously something that is going to be a big topic that we speak about. When you did the State of the State, you and I believe the police chief touted 19% reduction in crime. 13 WMAZ said around 7.5. Could you just, I guess, give us a little of a insight into the methodology that you guys use?
Absolutely. And that is true. That is what was stated. But we did ours based on the major crimes.
Okay.
So we start with the major crimes because that's mostly what those are the bad pieces that happen in the community.
Right.
And those numbers were correct.
Right. So
overall crime
go ahead.
would be lower.
So when you're talking about major crimes, you're talking about the murders, RAPE, I'm saying that for social media purposes, and versus the simple assault and the shoplifting. So that is separated into those numbers.
Absolutely. Okay. We have their different classes like all departments do, and they track the numbers. So the simple crimes are not included in that 19%.
Gotcha.
But I'll tell you, the number has changed since the State of the City, which was in March.
Right.
Because we've had so much domestic violence in our community.
Yeah.
And as the county stated in a meeting I was in, looking at all the numbers for the Houston County, we went from having like two homicides
to 16
to yes, and the majority of those are all domestic violence.
Right. I think all of them except for 5 it was. So I'm glad you brought that up. My theory, how can we combat domestic violence as far as, are there any programs that Warner Robins is putting in place to kind of reduce these numbers? Now, I do have an opinion about some of the cases that were taking place in Warner Robins, and that is, and me and him discussed it, it's like, I don't want to say they were isolated incidents, but it's incidents that I feel that you can't prepare for. You can't, if Joe Blow come home and, catch his wife doing something or whatnot, and then it becomes that act, then you can't really stop that. That's just a number that's going to be registered versus if it's a ongoing situation like typical domestic violence where we have outreach programs. But I do feel like some of those incidents seemed a little bit isolated, but I wasn't there, so I don't know. But is there anything that is in place to kind of encourage or spark the conversation for domestic violence and offer resources?
Absolutely. And this has been on our mind in a major way ever since a triple homicide that happened not long ago. One of my police officers in leadership called me. It was late at night, and he was angry. He was so angry Not just that 3 people lost their lives, but because the community was blaming the police. Like, why didn't you all do anything?
Right.
Why didn't you stop this? And my police said, if we don't know, we can't go.
Yeah. And that's kind of the point.
He said they looked at the apartment and it was trashed. Like, everything was broken. It was terrible. That means the neighbors heard it. So they will ask, well, why didn't you call us while you heard the noise? And they said, well, that's not my problem. I want to be in people's business. So you have to change the perspective of people when it comes to the domestic violence type things. Is usually somebody in the neighborhood or in the community will know. They will hear something, they will see something. And when those things are shared with police intervention, it's not always about arresting someone, but they're also interveners. Interveners where there may be someone who does go to jail, but you can also save lives at the same time.
Right.
So that's a balance that's hard when it comes to communities. Seeing there's crime happening in my neighborhood. This couple's always arguing, or, this lady came crying to my door, and you don't want to report because you don't want to upset their lifestyle, because that's really a part, upsetting the lifestyle. But at the same time, when the worst case scenario happens, a lot of people have guilt. The ones that heard it, the ones that saw the signs, even family members, and even police, because they didn't get there in time. But to me, the fix is going to be multifaceted, not just educating people. Hey, if we don't know, we can't go. You see something, say something. Not just that, but you're going to have to do the bystander training. We're working with. We actually have a large event coming on October 25th for domestic violence, which stems from that triple homicide. Not just that, but everything that came before it.
Right.
That was a straw that broke the camel's back for us to say we've got to do something. Crime Stoppers and Houston County Sheriff's Department, they're doing something. They have their program, and we're all joining together in this. This is a major thing, not just here, across our country now. But we're doing a major event. We're working with the Salvation Army Safe House and also the Crisis Line and Safe House. Then you have other organizations that deal with domestic violence. They're coming in too to help. So we can have some breakout sessions. We can have a walk for change. The slogan is stand together, save lives. So it's going to be a big thing we're doing. We want to do it every year. And this year is the first time we were doing it. We literally just threw it against the wall to see what can stick. But it's going to take a lot of people to help this process.
Right.
One of the other things that when me and him previously spoke about it, I believe a lot of how he's kind of like framing it, that it can just be like a snap situation, spontaneous. But I also believe, like, psychologically, there are stressors and triggers. And I think that there are these things that we notice about people, these stressors. But as you said, intervening and responding. So are you guys saying that there's programs now that we're kind of like pushing that can also help the individuals around folks that can become a little bit more confident in saying, hey, I think this is going on, or hey, there's something else, so that they can kind of like police themselves or the community?
Yes, absolutely. We think that's realistically, that's what's needed.
Okay.
Everybody's not going to call the police to intervene. They're not. They're not going to. But if we teach the bystanders, like if you're hearing this, maybe you could take this pamphlet, give it to the lady when they're not there, or you can invite her to go with you to this session they're having at the Salvation Army Safe House, so she can get the courage to do what she needs to do. It's going to take a community.
Yeah.
It really will.
And it's sad that we are in this space where we don't want to speak up, but I understand, because if these are the people that you're in community with, these are the people that are your neighbors. So it's like those are the last people you want to have some type of issues with, because you have to see these people on a daily basis. So, and you know how people, the whole snitching thing, which I don't agree with, but it looks like that. So it's like, oh yeah, you called the police on us, and now there's static between these neighbors. So I get it, but it's not right.
Yeah. I literally had, it was after the triple homicide. But I had a young man come to my door at night about 10:30, banging on my door. He was saying something. My son is in the room. So I'm freaking out. So I pick up my phone and I call 911. I don't know what he's saying. I just know there's a man banging at my door saying something. So I called 911. Then luckily, one of my friends was there at that time. He went to the door and he handled that. And I found out he just needed help. got in a fight with his father. So I told 911, I was like, I think he just needs help. He got in a fight with his father. He's a teenager. Police came. 2 of my guys, Warner Arms PD came to my home, outside of my house, because the gentleman was there. At the end of the day, this gentleman got put in a police car, and I felt guilty. I felt terrible. I couldn't sleep. I called my police chief, and I was like, I didn't want that to happen. Why is he being arrested? Why are they taking him to YDC tonight? His mom's coming from out of town to pick him up. And it really wore on me, and it still does. But I did that because I was frightened. I didn't know what he wanted. But I can only imagine someone who is trying to make something better. And that was a domestic violence situation between he and his father.
Right.
And the gentleman, they say there was conversation around one of them taking the other person's life.
Right. Yeah.
So my police leadership, they talked me down. They said, you could have really saved a life because that was a domestic violence situation. And we did have proof that there was a threat to kill. So you called us to intervene, and it saved 2 people's lives.
Gotcha.
And the gentleman, the teenager, will get the help that he needs. So there were some other things going on. And if I'd not called, maybe that would have been a different situation. So it's tough. I've been through it too. He came to my house because he knew who I was. I didn't know him.
Yeah.
So he came to me because he thought I'd help him.
Right.
But I made him get in handcuffs. Right. So it's tough.
Yeah. So it's you mentioned that made me think of something else. So how is the city trying to mend the relationship as far as how community members see the police? And this is not just a city thing, this is a national thing. So I think a lot of the reasons why a lot of people don't call the police, because we're at a point now nationally where we don't even want the police involved because of the reaction that the police provides. So what is the city doing to kind of like separate themselves from the rest of the country on how the police is being viewed?
Yeah, that's tough too. It really is. You know, not everybody backs the blue.
Yeah.
Not everybody trusts police officers. But one thing we've been adamant about since I came in office is making the police be a part of the community. For people to see the police, not just policing, but protecting too. So when we have our community events, it really opened the door for us to do that. To show police just walking around, talking to a kid, giving them a sticker at Independence Day celebration, passing out the glow sticks, helping a kid who got separated from his parent at a community event, talking to whoever comes to the table, and just having a conversation and showing that human part of their job, the human part of who they are.
Yeah.
That is to me our little piece of the solution to help change the stigma. So you'll have individuals from all different type of backgrounds, different neighborhoods, different perspectives on police who get to interact with them in a positive place and have a positive interaction. So that's what we're doing right now.
So Mike, as far as your point of view, I know you have a big opinion as far as on the state of police.
So, I mean, I do have different beliefs on how we solve and how we reduce crime. I believe that police officers are more reactive than proactive or preventative. So as far as your question, like what is the push towards building better rapport with the community and the police department? I wouldn't necessarily say at this moment that I feel like Warner Robins has what we see nationally with all of these the brutality, the consistent abuse of power and things like that. But we have noticed that there's this influx and maybe like pettiness where it feels like ticket crimes and things of that nature have seemed to skyrocket. If we look at just fines within, I would say, just the past 2 years, just off of speed zones alone, that feels like there is an over policing, which still makes people feel like it's hard to trust, because if I'm not really just doing anything but driving and I still got to watch over my shoulders at all times, I don't really feel protected. I feel controlled. And then obviously, where that's going to lead to the next thing where we get into flock. But that was my whole thing is it still feels like there's this heavy surveillance or police presence that kind of still feels a little uneasy at times. So that's just really a lot of where my contention comes from. But then also, how do we solve crime without just putting more police officers? because it does become a part where the community has to have a part into it, right? So they have to buy into whatever solutions that we advocate for them, and then have a better relationship. What do you see is going to kind of like within the next couple years be some of the things that the police department is going to do to try to build a better relationship outside of just being in our faces at these events?
That's a really good question. And it's a tough question, but I'm up for the tough questions.
Yeah.
I'm an attorney, so I can handle the tough questions. But one thing you'll never get from me is me lying to your face. So
Appreciate
I will
that.
tell you the truth, and I'll tell you, the best answer I can give you at the moment. So when it comes to police messing with people,
Right.
because I can't say the other word.
Gotcha.
I connect with that because it frustrates me too. I'll get stopped and I'm like, really? This is what we're doing today? You need to be looking at people that's weaving in and out of traffic that actually is driving dangerously instead of messing with me because I'm late to a meeting.
Right, yeah.
Or I will tell my police, like, I don't like us sitting on certain roads when we know people are going to a certain workspace where thousands of people work,
Right.
because it feels like you're targeting them.
Right.
And I will say that, and my police will adjust. So little things, from my perspective, my police are humans too, and they'll listen. So that makes a difference when it comes to policy and enforcement. Now, something outside of being in spaces, community spaces, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm really good at listening to ideas and implementing things that are agreeable.
Right.
So I want people to give us ideas. How else can we do this? Of course, telling them not to mess with people is one. But we have more police on the road now.
Right.
So we're ticketing more people. I don't like traffic. I don't like traffic tickets. I don't like the majority of our stuff coming from traffic citations. That's just the solicitor in me. I used to be a solicitor. I was one that, reduce. All you did was run a red light. Nobody died.
Right.
I'm worried about the people that's actually doing bad things, right? So I'm a little biased when it comes to traffic citations. I don't like a lot of them, but I also know on the other side, the mission of police department, and we've had 0 fatalities since we started the program with the Georgia Highway Patrol. I can't say it right. Georgia's office, the governor's office of highway safety.
Yeah.
Yes.
JHOS.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Since that started, we've had 0 fatalities from accidents in Warner Robins, which is a plus. Saving a life, especially if it's a child, that's always a plus, right? But it comes with stops.
Right.
So I don't know the answer, but I'm really looking for direction and ideas.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one of the things that I did go to council to speak on, because I guess this GHOS/GSP type situation was rolling thunder at one point, right? I know that you said your hands were tied on that, and that's a governor thing. Can you, I guess, explain why it was strictly just Warner Robins and not Perry or Centerville that did it? Like, is there contracts or relationships between the governor's office and Warner Robins specifically, or why was it just not all of Houston County?
The program that they do for the governor's office of highway safety, you're signing up to be a part of the mission.
Right.
And when you do that, you get a vehicle to show you're a part of the mission. And when you do that, which I didn't know until the thunder came, you are accepting programs like that coming on your territory. And that's what happened. We already know GSP has state jurisdiction. They can do
Whatever.
yes. But when you sign up for a program like that, that comes with it. The other cities, I don't know if they're a part of the program or not. They were a part of the operation that the governor's office called. They couldn't say no. And I personally didn't like Rolling Thunder. I can't speak against it, but I spoke my concerns about it and what it looked like in our community. I told people, stay off the streets. But it's just kind of the gift and the curse with the governor's office mission. And my hands were tied. They may not have been tied if I knew if we ever accepted the vehicles, this is what could happen.
Right.
But they pick and choose based on data where they go. And all jurisdictions across the state come in for that purpose. And I was just clenching my fists, waiting for them to leave.
Mm-hmm. Were you about to say something?
Nah, I know you said that the other cities didn't have the opportunity to say no. It just felt as if we're in those other cities, there wasn't that presence that was in Warner Robins. Like if I'm on Russell or Moody, right where the Job Connection used to be, there's 30 officers sitting inside that plaza with another 10 down the street right at the Wendy's and another 15 down the street at Sandy Run. Mm-hmm. That just seems beyond excessive. So I'm wondering if the goal is to prevent reckless driving, is one isolated weekend going to do that, or is that just going to collect enough quotas to say, hey, we have data? That's what it feels like.
And that might be what it was. And I agree with you. I do. I literally said, why are we all in the same place? Mm-hmm. That's the way they do it. Mm-hmm. I literally said, I don't like it.
Right.
I don't like it. And that's all I could say.
Right.
The governor outranks me. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you. I literally felt the same way. But I can tell you the tickets, they reported to the governor, the state, mm-hmm. not to the city. So the fines didn't come to us. It went to the agency.
Right.
They did not include us. I don't know if they gave us something. I don't know. I just know the fines were paid to them.
Does that also go for the speed zone cameras as well, or is that city?
The speed zone cameras are city.
Okay, so my bad.
No, go ahead.
Because I know we both wanted to ask the question of like the allocation, or how does that go about, or what is the money used for?
Yeah, so we got this. I know they're probably separate. So you got your school speed zone cameras, and then you have your actually ticketing and fines.
Okay.
So I guess the data that we received was the school zone cameras. The city has gained about $2+ billion in tickets, and as of May of 2025, they're at 943,000 so far. So how is that money allocated between the police department and the city, and where are those funds going, and do they support any current like projects going on in the city as far as that money?
Mm-hmm. So the money from the speed zone cameras, again, that was a city thing.
Right.
The city police has some, and then Houston County Sheriff's Department has some. We have 3.
Okay.
The others in the county will be owned by the county. So the money that comes from those, it goes to the city of Warner Robins for public safety. So all of it's used for public safety.
Gotcha.
So we're doing a police training center right now. Some of those funds went to that project. So we're not having to use taxpayer dollars to upgrade that facility. So that's how it's being used. Mm-hmm. My goal, the numbers from the flock camera, the last I checked, were trending down, which is typical because people will now know about it. They will stop it. Mm-hmm. Then they won't speed. I have gotten 3 tickets myself. I don't like them either. But that was a decision that council and I made to have the speed zone cameras. What we're going to do, because I think it's right, since we recently changed the times to different times based on the school, I think we need to put the flashing lights to when it's blinking, it's school zone area, slow down. So now they visually can see when they need to slow down, which is going to decrease as well. Mm-hmm. The cameras were put in place for safety in school zones, and that was to protect our kids. And though there was an option, council and I received an option, and a lot of cities in the country are doing this, to let it run 24/7. And if they're speeding over the normal speed limit, that they still get a ticket. And we said, no, that's not okay. We're not doing that.
Yeah, and some people, that is happening to a few people that I know, and some that I've seen online as far as coming, that they are still receiving those tickets like on the weekend, which is just a waste of resources if you have to go back into court just to get it thrown out, Is it in the city? Because the county is different. They have different standard than we do. But in the city, we only operate it during school zone hours. Okay. I'm not really positive.
Mm-hmm. So other agencies, they will operate it all day, even in our county. If you're speeding over the regular speed limit over a certain, you can get ticketed. But if there's anyone receiving that from the city, then instead of going to court, they can also pick up the phone and call. They can call the police department. Could be an oversight on human error, and they can fix it so they don't have to go to court. They can contact any council member. They can contact me. They can contact the mayor's office. Those things we want to help with.
Gotcha.
We want to know if there's something wrong, and the tickets are coming outside of the authorized time zones.
So you already know how I feel about Flock and how
Yes.
a couple of my other compadres feel about it as well. Doing a little bit more research into it, there were a couple of things that I kind of found alarming that I wanted to, I guess, address and see how do you feel about those.
Okay.
So when Flock initially reported all of their data that they use as their marketing, they basically used two researchers from Texas that have come out both and say that they don't like the way that the methodology was used, and they were only brought in to substantiate these claims. So they're saying that Flock basically pushed these things without actually doing outside data analysis.
Okay.
We've also seen that police officers have abused the Flock system by finding and tracking their abused victims and deportations and all kinds of other issues by basically using it outside of what it's supposed to be for. Police officers who had the highest reduction, I believe, in Cobb County have still said they don't know if it's Flock or if it's other things. And then there's the constitutional issues with it. So with all of these things, with the data experts saying that Flock needs to still be tested, with the victims being consistently chased down, with constitutional issues, why are we so quick to consistently expand this when it feels like it doesn't necessarily need to be put in yet right now?
Okay. Another good question. I've had conversations about surveillance systems or camera systems at the federal level, at the state level, and at the city level. So I've been in the rooms when the federal government, they're talking about it. Other countries are talking about it. And other countries that don't allow the surveillance of the cameras in open spaces without permission. United States isn't there yet. I don't know if they ever will be. But right now, our reality is that these cameras are permitted. So for the city of Warner Robins, we have won international awards because of our digital twin city program, which is more than just a camera. It is intel, and it's also the data being reported. It's the intel, it's the digital program, and also the camera system. So all three of them together work for us. I can tell you that in the city of Warner Robins, we do not operate our cameras where we are spying on people. Now, there are others that will, but we don't. Another reason why we got international attention because what we did with Georgia Tech and Middle Georgia State University and Penn, Partnership of Inclusive Innovation, we made our program not be that. So for us, we only will check a camera if somebody tells us to. If somebody tells us to, basically there's a crime and, oh, somebody stole your car. Well, do you know who it was? No. Well, let's see if there's cameras. They'll pull the camera based on the description, and then they can find it, even if it's in Texas, as long as there's another Flock camera that picks it up. So to me, that's a positive. When it comes to looking for people, or hey, this person keeps knocking on my door and running, we're not checking our Flock camera to do that. If there's a crime that occurs and you give us a description and that's all you got, we can pull our camera to see if we see anything.
Now, what checks and balances are in place to know who's not going to do it? So we can easily say that they're not going to do it, but
What kind of oversight?
yeah.
Okay, oversight. Well, to be more specific, our policy does not allow that, does not permit just you sitting there looking at people all day. Who oversees it? That's going to be leadership at our police department. That's who oversees it.
Gotcha.
Now, we went a little bit further, and we did a real crime center. The real crime center is going to have people that support it and people that are against it, because we have a wall full of screens that will pull up camera data. So if there is a major crime, like there was a kidnapping, that's something that will trigger us to look at our camera system to see where the child is, and we were able to recover that child that was kidnapped.
Gotcha.
So in there, Now the team that is trained on all the policies, procedures, laws when operating camera system, surveillance, and the screens, they are the ones that are in there going through cameras, listening to our police with clues, going to certain areas. Person ran on foot that way, they're looking, and it's on all the screens. That's what the Real Crime Center does. So we put even more behind this technology. So as our country does not prohibit that type of surveillance, this is what is permitted. But in Warner Robins, our policy procedure is we only look if you tell us to look.
Gotcha.
There has been times where we've done demonstrations and we will pull a camera that's on in a public street, which all of ours are on public streets, but is in a public street to show what our cameras can do. But we're not scanning faces or vehicles. They are showing what the camera can do. Those ones feel a little, I don't know, because we weren't called to do it, but what they're doing is pulling an image that someone can see with their eyes if they were standing in that location for demonstration, for demonstrative purposes.
How far back does this go as far as recording? Is it 30 to 45 days? Is it an indefinite? So let's just say we believe that there is drugs being sold out of a house, but we haven't been able to substantiate it. But we see that there's the same amount of cars that keep going to it. Can we go back 3-4 months to see the exact same amount of cars consistently?
No, 30 days.
Okay.
The only way we can go back further is if there was something that justified, like an occurrence where we pulled the camera for a crime, and we have to save that for court. So it'll be saved. Just like a police camera. It'll be saved. If we see the crime happening, that might be saved. So we can go back to an archive of that, which is saved for court, and we can put together evidence that way. But our cameras only keep it for 30 days.
But there is a database that holds all the recordings, though, is what you're saying.
There's a database that holds it for 30 days. And then it goes off.
Right. But if you're saying if you needed something that was a reoccurring thing outside of that, you can't go back past those 30 days? There's
Correct.
No. Okay. So
the only way it would be is if they're intentionally capturing the piece of video that shows that the crime happened for a court. Just like the cams for police, those things are not saved. It's only saved if it shows a crime or we need it for a case. So then it goes in wherever it is, saved away so you can pull it.
Gotcha. So within those 30 days, it just saves something specific. But if something were to happen and we're saying like a crime happened and then maybe like a month later we get evidence, there's no way that we can go back to that specific day, right?
No. Like, again, we only will turn the camera on and keep a recording if we are told to go look.
Okay.
If there is let's see. If there is a crime that happened 15 days ago and we get a call and say, hey, somebody battered a person, left them bludgeoned, and they are paralyzed.
Right.
And we got the report 15 days ago. The camera is holding for 30 days. We can go back to the day, rewind the camera, like you could do just at your house too.
Right.
You can rewind your camera if you have a house camera. You can go back to the day and time, and then you can take a look at it and see what you find. That's possible. But if it was 31 days,
right,
you can't see it.
Okay.
Gotcha. That's all I was getting to.
30 days is the max.
30.
So I'm not a fan of invasion of privacy, what he was kind of leading to. I am a fan of protecting the citizens of whatever community that people are living in, specifically Houston County, Warner Robins. So I do like that idea because, it's a case over in Ohio where a girl's body got dismembered. And it was because of the flock cameras that they were able to get a solid conviction and track down the gentleman. So that's just kind of where I tiptoe on the line. It's like, I don't like the invasion of privacy, and I, you don't trust technology these days. As far as, they say it doesn't do face tracking, but I'm pretty sure that the technology is probably embedded in there, or all it takes is an update. But on the other hand, as a family man, I do like the idea of, if something happens that our agency has the ability to, track somebody down. And I think that lessens the amount of time where we're chasing people, going to different counties looking for people, where it takes like a month or two and we finally capture this person, versus now we can probably limit it down into days now, because all these cameras are located on all the point of entries going in and out of the city, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I do like that idea. I mean, if something happened to somebody, if they got, unalived or if they got, just something severe happen, I do like the idea of people being the police department able to have access to those videos. But like I say,
that's right. I disagree.
You tinker on the lines of.
I disagree just simply because I haven't seen one police department that is scandal free. And not to say that humans are going to be flawless, but there's way too many corruption that we have seen organized through police departments, because there is qualified immunity, because there's police unions that qualify to basically say they can do whatever. So those individuals, while we can't say this person is bad, this person is good, it does feel as a whole, we've seen time and time again that they might not be the most trustworthy individuals to have all of this information. And that's where I go back to the point of how many times there's been officers who have tracked women that they've abused, tracked women that they have molested or violated, or just utilizing it for deportations, trying to find people and stuff like that. The interconnection of federal and municipality is starting to really feel police state-ish, and is really starting to feel like at every given moment, I'm always being watched. And that just doesn't really feel like freedom to me in what we consider the land of the free. So that's still my main contention. I agree. If we are able to, get somebody in Ohio because they hurt somebody in Florida or whatever, I do think that that's what the FBI is for. So I don't necessarily think we need a nationwide of surveillance to definitely get that done. So I'm still going to be against it. But like I said, I don't have the ability to change it. But that is where I stand on it. I just don't see it as a necessity.
But what's more important, though, as far as
freedom? Because if
we're talking about, but is community safety more important over a potential scandal or potential?
We haven't seen, though. The data does not verify that Flock reduces the crime. So you can't say
our data does.
No, what data do you guys have outside of what Flock is using?
We have the data that, remember, we have a program of 3. So we have the data that shows that crime is reducing in the areas, but our system is not just a camera that exists. Our camera system, our system, not just camera system, but our system that we're using for Digital Twin City, its job is so our police with intel can plug in areas where crime's occurring, the type of crime that's occurring, who's committing the crimes. And then we adjust our police practices based on what the data shows us. It's not saying, oh, there's a whole bunch of crimes here, let's move the Flock cameras, because you can't, they're in place. The cameras do help us with solving crimes, but our system is more than just a camera. Our system collects data to show where it's happening. So then we know, a lot of our crimes that's happening now are juveniles. What are they doing? They're stealing cars. What are they doing? They're stealing guns. Okay, what areas is it? What can we do in this area proactively to help reduce crime? Those are the things that we are now exploring based on the data. But for our cameras, the way that we use it with our system, again, our policy does not say, oh, go spy in this neighborhood because we get so many complaints, people playing loud music. We don't do that. Now, is that a definite? Is that a guarantee? No, it's humans, right? Mm-hmm. Humans. But then when it comes to United States and our technology, we've all seen, what's the Will Smith movie I love so much?
iRobot?
No, not iRobot. No, not that one.
Independence Day.
Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State. So we know what our technology has the potential to do.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. We can do way more as a nation than what we're doing with our camera system. So this is going to be a subject where you're going to have people at all levels: federal government, state government, city government, county government, that will not agree. It's going to be split, and that's where we are. But right now, all I can do is help what happens in the city of Warner Robins. And I appreciate the camera systems. I appreciate our entire Digital Twin City program, because that's really what it's about for us. And our data does show that crime is reducing, but not because of a camera. It's because of our whole system.
Okay. To, I guess, piggyback off of you asking, do community security over the freedom of being able to just exist without feeling like there's a monkey on my back? There is a middle ground. A citizen review board, similar to what Atlanta has, would allow oversight within the community to feel like they are a part of what is going on with the way that they are being policed, and also allows them to have input in the way that certain things operate when it comes to the police. Atlanta's got one, I believe. I don't know if Macon has one, but there's at least 3 or 4 different citizen review boards within Georgia. And there was some law, either 2022 or 2018, that allows for municipalities to create their own. So is that something that you would be willing to do? Not necessarily the citizen advisory board that we tried before, where none of the actual council members showed up to the events or the meetings, but an actual citizen review board with power that won't be taken away from them.
So I would have to look and see what that entails. I'm one for involving the community when it comes to government. That's why I created so many boards. I didn't create that board, but I create boards. I like to make sure we're hiring police officers from all different backgrounds and nationalities. And that has happened. I want police officers who live and come from different neighborhoods, who have empathy and who understands just because a kid did this doesn't mean they're bad. There's more to the story. So I've been very big on pushing, and my police department's been really adamant about getting a more inclusive body that's policing, not just one police that has one perspective.
Right.
So that's one thing that we're doing. Now, when it comes to our review board or something like that, again, I'd have to see what that means. I never want my police to feel like, oh, we can't do this unless the citizens say we can do this. I want something where we can have more. My style would be this. We have the police town hall meetings. That's part of that for me. The police town hall meetings happen once a quarter, and they go to different neighborhoods. We even have one that's in Spanish for the Latino community.
Mm-hmm.
We have that because of, similar to what you're saying, we want the community to come and tell us, talk to us, come together. And maybe I would do something more like a round table, not just a review board, but more of a round table that might happen more consistently, where different groups might come to the table and talk, but not a review board. But if there is a complaint, if there's something that people don't like, usually people will come tell council, they'll tell me, and then we adjust as we need to. But you have to think about long term. I'm not always going to be mayor. Council's not always going to be council. You can have it turn bad, right? So I understand that too. We've seen it.
I think it's more so about accountability, because it's not going to be what the mayor or city council decides as an appointed person. The community will have input as well. So they will consistently be the ones that decide who gets to be in that position, along with other organizations with faith-based and potentially input from the city. But I do feel that if the police officers are scared to do their job because the citizens might not like how they're doing it, then that seems like a bigger issue for the police department and not the citizens.
You lost me a little bit.
All right, so you're if we have a citizen review board and now they feel like they can't do their job the way that they're supposed to, or they feel scared to perform in the same way that they normally would, then it feels like the review board is working.
Oh, I don't think that they would be afraid.
Okay, so when you said that you didn't want your officers to feel that based off of they wouldn't have the citizen because of what the citizens would say or what the citizens would allow them to do, I guess that's how I interpreted it.
I was saying I don't want the police to feel like the authority that they're given comes from citizens who didn't receive the same training and skills as they did. Again, like I said, I have to see what the review board is about. I don't know. I've not done any research on it. But if it is just giving feedback to the police, we can create those rooms.
Do you believe the police should be above the people?
No, they are the people.
To a degree, but if that's the case, then they shouldn't have a problem with the people holding them accountable.
Oh, no, they hold me accountable. They hold the police accountable. They hold all of us accountable on a consistent basis here.
A citizen review board doesn't necessarily seem like it's negating anything. It feels like it's adding. And then it also feels like that level of transparency, that level of accountability and community input would go a long way towards what we spoke about earlier as far as building the rapport between community and policing. But like you said, there's still things that you would want to look at, and I wouldn't want you on record saying something that you would have to, right? So I definitely understand how we can have a later conversation about possibly what a citizen review board would look like, in my opinion, versus, what the round table and all that other kind of stuff, and then maybe even find middle ground.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree with the mission on accountability when it comes to those type of boards, how it looks, how it is run, what it sounds like, those things I don't know. But when it comes to improving accountability and transparency, I'm always going to say yes.
So let's pivot to another conversation, and pretty much probably like the last two topics, maybe get into some more, but I know we want to talk about food deserts, and that was a good conversation I saw sparked up online. But also I want to talk about the blight just real quick. So, and then probably maybe something that was mentioned in one of the forums. But so recently I noticed that code enforcement is now moved up under the actual police department to, I guess, encourage to solve the problem of blight or whatnot. So question here, since that structural shift, how many additional properties have been brought into compliance compared to before? And can you provide those yearly numbers if you can?
Okay.
And so, and also how do you ensure that enforcement is equitable across neighborhoods?
Okay. All right. So the shift from code enforcement to PD came at the recommendation of one of those boards that are hold people accountable, transparency, and make sure we're paying attention equitably across the city. There was a recommendation that happened. We used to have it before, but our board brought forth that change. And we listened, and then we did it. We moved them to PD. Citations went up the first 2 months, 230 new citations were written for blighted properties or code enforcement infractions. So that tells us it's working. Now, our court system is going to be slammed more because we also made a push, listening to the community, that it's taking too long for the blighted issues to go through the court system. So then it makes our community look bad while they're waiting for the judicial action. So we shortened that so that we could resolve that issue that we, again, heard from the community, which came recommendation from a board, to make sure that there is no targeting of individuals, so it's equitable across our community. That is also the policy. But they're not allowed to target. But what we do is we just look to see where the blight happens. I'll give you an example of an area which most of the blighted properties you're going to see, not necessarily most of the code enforcement actions will take place. Most of the blighted property on the oldest parts of our city. And that's an area I'm really passionate about bringing investment in to help lift the community in those areas without displacing those who called it home. Okay. So I have a mission on that. But I'll give you an example. So there was one location, there was a business owner who would come to me 3 times saying, hey, it looks bad over there. You guys need to cut over there. There's trash everywhere. Can you please? And I keep them updated. Okay. Whenever they called, my staff went out, got it cleaned up, make sure. Okay, staff, can y'all do it on a consistent basis so you can stop coming to see me? That's what I wanted. When we made the change over, that person who used to come and complain, calling me now because they have a citation. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that you got a citation. Can I see it? Well, some of the stuff he'd complained to me about was on his property. And he knew it was his property, but he had an excuse as to why. But even he who came to me for help, we've helped him many times. Not the city has helped him. It's the public works, code enforcement, the police, we've come together to help him. But when it comes to enforcing the blight, when it would happen to be him, he still got citations too. So those are tough conversations to have, but it also shows there's no favoritism, and we're doing the work. And there'll be people and communities will say, well, how come this house has looked like this all this time and they still get away with it? You're not doing anything. Those are questions I have too. Team, why is this happening? Why are we not doing anything? Council gets the calls too.
But so just before we talk about food deserts, in association with the blight, so I noticed that in one of the forums, the candidate kind of tried to, I guess you could say, checked you on the revitalization of the downtown project. And so I guess there were other citizens, including him, were looking for like plans. and you stated that there are drawings there, but I guess they were like the rendered, AI drawings. So I guess what drawings or what kind of plans can the citizens get that is a little bit more, I guess, realistic to see the vision of what the downtown project is going to look like? And I know y'all did something big the other day, which was the largest demolition project so far. Mm-hmm. So what are we looking at going in the future, and as far as a completion or a construction starting time on the actual project?
Okay. So when it comes to the plans for the redevelopment project, or Operation Reawaken to be specific, we do have renderings, and they're not drafted through AI.
Okay.
We worked with the Carl Vinson Institute, and they developed them.
Okay.
Those ones we put out on social media. It's on our website. We also have they call them the real estate signs at each corner of Commercial Circle.
Right.
So you can look at it and see what it can look like. We've also put it inside of our city magazine called The Pulse. So those plans are out. Our infrastructural blueprints were also done, and that was a partnership with the University of Georgia College of Engineering. Mm-hmm. So we have all of these, and the only thing that we probably didn't do is put the infrastructural blueprints out for everyone to see, because it's a blueprint and no one knows what it means anyway. But the renderings have all been pushed out.
Right.
So I can direct people to where it is, but my opponent, he doesn't come to any city events. He doesn't come to any council meetings, pre-council meetings. He's just not educated on what the city's doing, or even how city businesses run, or even what zoning means. So, of course, he didn't know, which I don't expect him to know. Mm-hmm. People that want to educate themselves, they know. And making sure that people can see it. I could do something more, which is keep pushing it out on the same mediums that we just shared. The news have run stories on them. They've shown them in news stories. They've shown the renderings. So I think we've done a really good job at getting it out. Mm-hmm. But just keep putting it in people's face. We could do that. So then every time we are talking about it, it's followed up with, oh, here's the renderings. And they're not AI. They're actually designed by a team.
Okay.
By listening to citizen comments, and also development authorities and what mayor and council wants. And I forgot the other part to your question.
It was just as far as a timeline.
Timeline.
Yes. Timeline.
So we get a lot of questions on timeline. People are excited. They want to know. I want to know. But for us, the design standards have to come first. Mm-hmm. And we're currently designing the design standards based on the infrastructural blueprints, the renderings, the citizen input. We still are asking for more input from the citizens. We're looking at all of that data to help us decide what it will be. Mm-hmm. So the design standards is what we have to prepare so that a request for proposal can be drafted, mm-hmm. so that master developers can bid on the mixed use development. Okay. So we're in the gathering information for the design standards phase, and we should be putting the RFP out next year and declaring the master developer who wins the bid. So they bring their own investment into our city, just like BJ's did, just like Pratt did, just like Keomac, all those companies. It's their own investment, mm-hmm. But we just market it so they'll come. So my hope is that we'll have, again, the master developer named, whoever wins the RFP process, request for proposal, next year. And then the following year, we see some dirt moving. Mm-hmm. So when we'd actually get to walk around downtown, hopefully before the end of my fourth year of my second term.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, I don't even want to keep going back to the blight. I was going to ask about the blight tax, and has there been any funding that has been accumulated through it? And if there has been, what exactly are those projects going to be funded, or how is it going to fund certain things?
Okay, so the blight tax has not started yet.
Okay.
But when it does, the blight tax has not started yet, but when it does start, then those funds will go into this is what I say. I think it is codified. I have to go back to check to make sure, but my understanding is mm-hmm. that the blight tax will go into a bucket, and we can use that to help resolve blight in the community. For example, there may be someone who cannot afford to get a tree cut down that is rotten, that could fall, and that's a citation. Realistically, I probably can't afford to get the tree down if it was in my yard. And I know how much I make. So that is something we can use to help the community to resolve blight, especially for people who don't have the means to correct it themselves. So the money that comes from that blight tax will be used for resolving blight purposes.
Okay. Fair enough. So the one thing that I think has been the biggest issue that I think has not really been spoken about is access to food, especially on the north side of town. Yeah. So when Piggly Wiggly closed down, right, that took the only full service grocery store outside of essentially Food Giant, which doesn't necessarily have that, but it lacks in the produce. It only really kind of has a butcher, doesn't have seafood, doesn't have bakery, doesn't have deli. So outside of that, in the neighborhood Walmart on Green Street, there is no real access to any type of healthy food or anything like that. Are there any plans for any city initiatives that will be able to help, whether it is city ran grocery store, community market, or maybe city garden type stuff or community garden, that could potentially help offset this, especially with the cut to SNAP that's about to come, and with the reporting of the community banks and churches being overran due to food insecurity and stuff like that? And I know that's a loaded question, but
yeah. And to add on that, also additional resources, which is we live around an agricultural area, which is Fort Valley State, as far as seeking out them for food resources as well.
Very great ideas. So for food deserts, I know you're very passionate about food deserts. I've heard you speak about food deserts before, and I'm right there with you. I think there should be no one who starves in the United States of America. And I'm a huge advocate in ways to help resolve people being hungry in our country. There are a couple things when it comes to the actual food desert, which is resolving it with a location, right? Of course, if we were overflowing with money, I'd love to start a city market, which is a grocery store. If we were to get our lost back, maybe we'd have the funds to do that. But currently, we don't have a funding source, but we are looking for grants. So that could be a possibility. But one thing that we are planning to do is a real market, like a flea market, like in DC, they have them. They're open Saturdays and sometimes through the week. To get those local farmers and local bakeries and things like that to come in and sell their product to the community instead of having to go to a Walmart or a Publix or a Kroger to buy it. So when we do the renovations or the redevelopment of Perkins Field and put in an amphitheater, a market's going to also come.
Nice.
We're going to have that flea market type feel, a large space where the rolling doors are on the side. You can pull them up. You can walk in from all angles and have local farmers, local businesses there selling things. We have the International City Food Market, which is not a part of the city government. It's separate. They have that, but it's so small that it's not a big reach. If the city were to come in and provide a space and market it to everyone, I know that it would be much more beneficial and not just have it on a Thursday, but have it on a more wide schedule where they can come and get great deals on their groceries.
I was just about to ask about that because I do tend to go out there sometimes on the Thursdays. It's nice to just see a little bit of community out there. With speaking to them, do they have any thoughts on the redevelopment? Are they happy about it, or do they feel like their little spots being taken, or have you kind of talked to them yet?
Well, the market was originally ran by a different family. When I came in, someone else was over it, and they did not like the idea of the city having anything that would compete because they make money off of it.
Right.
The city does things as a debit, as a service to the community. We don't make money off these things. We do it to improve the quality of life of our citizens. So that is a natural competitor for a small market. Now there's another person that runs it. I've not brought that person to the table to talk about our plans. But at the end of the day, I support local businesses, local operations like food markets. International City Farmers Market. But I have to also look at the wider scale to make sure that citizens have it. And it's just not enough participation to me. There's a lot of farmers out there who have produce. They can come in. But if it's marketed more at a city level, I think they'll be more beneficial and useful to our community. Now, when it comes to bringing in grocery stores, with our redevelopment, when it comes to our design standards, we can say one of the stores have to be a grocery that has more affordable prices. That goes in the design standards. There's lots of things that we have the opportunity to put in there because we did the work to make sure we own the land. and we're the one that's controlling the process. We're the one that's writing all the specs for what we want to see, and we're the ones that have to also enforce it. So that puts us in a really great space when it comes to resolving the food desert. Now, it's not going to be in the same place where Piggly Wiggly was. Luckily, the Walmart market is not far from there. May not be the best prices, but they have something. The other giant foods, yeah. But we'll have something that's still in the area that I think people can get to and try to resolve that issue. It won't be a Piggly Wiggly. It might be, Aldi. I like Aldi. Aldi.
Aldi's nice too.
Yeah, they have good prices and things.
They do. Yeah.
But that'll be in our design standards. We want to help resolve the food desert and partner with organizations that can come in who want people to take their produce.
Right. And I guess the only thing about Aldi is that where we're talking about food deserts is those individuals having to go outside of their community and create something that is in close proximity that supports the north side of town,
Yep. So bringing a grocery store in that commercial circle area, I think will be a plus because there's nothing over there. Do you know how hard it is to find lunch?
Right, yeah.
And you work in a city building.
I think it's McAllister's.
We have McCall's.
McCall's, that's
We have my grandma's empanadas. We have little groceries, but if I need to go run out and get my son something for breakfast the next day because we have to work until 9 p.m., I have to go across town to find it.
Slim pick.
So yeah. So we're really passionate about that. And if you have any ideas, let us know. But one other thing is the Haven Hope House, our homeless shelter. We have a full kitchen in there. And again, whatever is inside there not only serves those who laid their head, but also the community. So a way that we're going to help also resolve issues when it comes to people being hungry is working with an organization. I can't recall their name, but I'm ambassador of them. I just learned about them maybe a month and a half ago, but they have a program where they can get restaurants to sign on to give their unused food.
We've been asking about like a food courier system to do something like that. So that's incredible.
There's so much food being thrown away in a lot of these restaurants. And I get it. There's policies and, requirements when it comes to
food safety
and everything. But at the same time, I was like, I don't think some of these individuals, it doesn't matter. I mean, long as it's not spoiled, but I've seen so many restaurants around here that just throws away so much food. And, not to call out one, but they make sub sandwiches. And if you get there late, they'll give you all the bacon. And then they'll give you certain things if you ask for it. But at the same time, I'm thinking like, there could be some type of program created where these businesses get together and donate this food.
And there's one, and I wish I could remember the name, but they came to see me right after I was having a conversation with the National League of Cities, or is it AMA? Either he's the leader of National League of Cities or AMA. I can't remember which one because he's in both of them big, and he's my mentor mayor. But anyway, I was having a conversation with him about the very thing. But yeah, there are organizations that do it, and there's only one that's come to us, and there's others. So that could be a good plug for you to go get and bring to our community. But the community room in the shelter has a space to have that as a drop-off location. So I already put it down as a drop-off location. That's for the entire community who's hungry. And we also have a partnership with a large manufacturer or a large factory who does meat products, who will give us meat for free for as long as we need it at the shelter. Because what do? They throw away a lot of stuff too.
Right.
Well, throw it this way so people can eat. So we're going to have a lot of programs in the area where there's a food desert where the community can come in and get resources. So I'm really excited about that.
Same.
It's not the best thing, but it's something. And it could be hot meals, especially children and elderly. Those are my passion points. So anything that helps children and elderly, I'm going to say yes.
No, I love that. And then moving, I guess, from the idea of a grocery store or a city-ran grocery store and moving towards like an idea of a city center, I see that there is potentially in the development plans for a city center, or at least a community center type. So what is this community center or city center going to provide? Would it be like services for the individuals, whether it be like resume building or techniques for people who are looking for jobs or things like that, or just a general kind of information desk, or what are we kind of looking at?
Are you talking about for Haven Hope House?
No, as far as like the redevelop Project Reawakening, I think within the rendering, I think that talks about a city center is going to be placed within the area.
So there will be a activity center, like an activity center, and it's the old rec department.
Okay.
Yeah, the old rec department. It looks horrible, right next to the civic center. That will be renovated. It'll be built out and up, and there will be activity center there. That center is going to be more on recreational activities like ceramics, painting, quilting, crocheting, gaming, senior programs will be in there for the entire community. Right now, the city provides those on a consistent basis for seniors and seniors only, unless they have a special program for other groups. So we'll have that. But the programs like what you're interested in is going to be at the Haven Hope House in the community room. There will be the resume building, how to be successful in a job interview, clothing closets, how to get your ID card, how do you apply for benefits, those types of things. But they are not the ones that are state agency run where you got to go to like a WIC office or something like that. This is just, we will advertise the different workshops, the different programs, financial literacy. How do you do a will? How do you set up a trust? How do you do estate planning? How do you plan for retirement when you may not have one, including me? I may not have a retirement, right?
Right.
Those types of programs that'll be free to the public will take place in the community room at Haven Hope House. But also, it's not limited there. We have plenty of buildings. But that room is meant for those types of things for the community and those who reside at the shelter at different times.
So when you talk about you mentioned gaming and other activities for the community at the old rec department. Now let's swing over to the new rec department. One of your accomplishments was the innovative lab, right?
Yep.
So how will that be purposed going forward for the community? I know there's been a few things, but how will you draw these kids and take a lot of these kids, give them something to do that are on the street or just stay out of trouble?
Yep. So that one will still be in effect. We have all of the different stations for STEM education, STEM learning, make learning fun. And we finally got a lead that works with Ed Farm that will run it. So thankfully we will have our consistent programming from K to gray. That's what Ed Farm says, from K to gray. Nice. So we're really excited about that. But how do you get kids involved?
Right.
Middle school and high school students, they have not come to participate in our programs. Typically, they're usually the smaller kids, which is still good. So I was just talking maybe a couple weeks about ideas of what we can do to get the interest of high schoolers and middle schoolers, especially our boys that look like us. I need them in those spaces. I need those organizations who are about building boys into men to start coming and doing some things. So we are still figuring out the formula for that. But one thing a couple weeks ago I came up with was more. So we have open gym at the gym where people can come and play basketball, whatever. It's actually called open gym. That means it's not reserved.
Right.
I want to have open study hall. So kids who don't want to play basketball, I wasn't a basketball player. I know you were, BK. Not just basketball, but come into the Eno lab and do your study lab, study hall, I should say. Get dropped off from school, walk over from Northside Middle School, sitting there, do your homework, do some robotics, do some coding and things like that, but have it an inviting space that they want to come. So that's what we have to create, a space they want to come to, but it's also safe and it's also helping better them overall. So for that space, we are partnering with a lot of organizations as well as having our lead, like the Georgia Technology Authority heard about us. So they came and visited us. They were blown away. They're going to be bringing programs that they do in Atlanta to the Eno Lab for the community. Again, K to Gray. We have Girl Scouts coming to do a program there. Those are for Girl Scout girls, but we have 100 Black men that's considering coming to do a program there to get to the demographic that needs to go to. So this is a collaborative space. This is a place for partnership, a place where the community can come and bring the resources to those who need it from K to Gray. So really excited, and I really believe in, I say blank sheets of paper or white canvases, and whatever sounds good, let's throw it on there, see if it works. As long as its mission is in line with my mission and the city's mission, let's try it. And that's how you change things. You don't have to do the status quo. You don't have to do what others have tried before. You do something that, based on what you know, what you've learned or data, try to do something that works and be proactive about changing the lack of resources and the lack of opportunities in certain neighborhoods. So that's what that's about.
All right. Do you have anything else before I wrap it up?
No, I did want to add that the InnoLab is really incredible. I was there at the grand opening, made a little video about it as like a child, like back in '99. I know y'all are a little older, so I'm not gonna do that to y'all. But but it was like a dream, like walking in there and just seeing all of these things. So any way that on our side, like the nonprofit side or anything like that, that we can help bring the kids in there or whatever, definitely let us know, because that was something me and BK were talking about, mentorship, trying to get more of that out there, and then just trying to utilize the whole complex, because it is a beautiful facility and we just want to get the most out of it.
Yep, definitely interested in talking. I know I told you before, white canvas.
Yeah.
Let's just do the work and make the change and be proactive.
So before we wrap it up, I want to give you an opportunity to highlight some of your accomplishments and talk to the citizens of Warner Robins as far as where you plan to take it further in leading the city of Warner Robins. But with that, I want to ask a question. So what would you say is your single biggest promise you made in your last campaign that you fully delivered on, and one area where you believe you fell short? And how do you plan to address that if voters give you a second chance?
Okay. So the monkey wrench was fully delivered on, which takes off my biggest promise. So I would say the homeless shelter is one that I fully delivered on, because it's now complete. Renovation is complete. We know who's going to run it. It's not furnished yet, but we have the furniture. It's not in there yet. So that's my biggest promise that I actually brought to fruition. Resolving the homelessness issue. Well, trying to help resolve the homelessness issue by having a homeless shelter in the city, a full service one. A promise I made that I've fallen short on, which I would say one that the ball is rolling, but rolling real slow or a little bit. That one's hard to say. There's one that I talked about a little bit, but it wasn't really what I ran on. But I think I'd start talking about my first year. Would that count?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A workforce development.
Okay.
A workforce development project. I remember talking about it very heavily when we had those, was it 3 murders in 48 hours? Remember that? I remember talking about it very heavily, but it was just talk. I never went forth to start rolling a ball. The thoughts are there, some meetings have been had, but no, okay, let's hit the gavel.
Right.
So I've fallen short on that one, but it's what I want to make sure I accomplish in my second. It's been spoken to the right people in the community, the right community partners, kind of like visualizing the idea by talking to the right people to see if there's buy-in. That part's been done, but no rolling of a ball.
Okay.
So that I'd say I'd fall short on the workforce development. And to explain it, it's about, my plan was about connecting those seniors in high school or those individuals who may not even finish school to a career, to resolve lack of resources, lack of opportunity. That's where crime comes from, right?
Yep.
The underlying issue. Let's resolve that for our community. Bring these young men, young women in. Have the corporate partnerships and sponsors that come in, give them on-the-job training in different areas, because they don't know that certain careers exist.
Right.
They don't know, how they can build a career from it. They don't know, like, oh, I can make this kind of money doing this. Yes, you can. Even if you're working for the city, I can get insurance. Yeah, you can get insurance. Those types of things, and taking them through a program with that. So it takes a lot to build it, but it's really in my heart to do it. Everything that's in our education system sometimes doesn't have every student in mind, but bridging that gap through a innovative way of bringing together the community to support this, to help the workforce, is what I intend to do more in my second term.
Okay. So, and if you could just wrap it up with all of your accomplishments and how you plan to if you get reelected, how you plan to lead the city of Warner Robins going forward?
Okay. So my first term in office has been amazing. I'm very pleased with my team. I'm pleased with the community, the collaborations, and the progress we've made. A lot of things that we've done, many said could never happen, especially not in one term, and some of them in 3 years. So we worked hard. I worked hard for my city. I put me last and I put the city first. And that's what it took. And I knew I had to do it. My first term, I would never earn a second. The stakes were not even for me when I got in office. And I knew I had to really break the mold to get to earn a second chance. And you all know what I'm talking about. And I've done the work to do it. So we were able to make great strides with Operation Reawaken, which is Commercial Circle Project, going from owning less than an acre of land when I came in to owning over 70% of the 17-acre tract. We've made it to the renderings phase, which shows people, oh, we're doing this. We're tearing down the buildings. Oh, we're doing this. The next phase is the RFP. Oh, we're doing this. So there is that. We have the Haven Hope House, which is a homeless shelter in the city of Warner Robins. That's been a great project. Took longer than we wanted with the renovations, but thank God for the ARPA that allowed us to do it without touching our tax dollars or our SPLOST dollars. We have the Innovation Lab, which we call the Eno Lab, which is a partnership with Apple, yes, the Apple, and Ed Farm, which expands our Parks and Recreation offerings to our community. I grew up as a military child. I always go to the rec department and do different things, not just play basketball. And I wanted to bring that to our community, but also advance our children at the same time. So that is here. It's already in progress. We also have the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, which is something that they've been trying to do since 2011, before I was even thought about being in this office. That we have finally named the home for the memorial, and we will be awarding the design contract at our next council meeting for them to come in and design what it's going to look like with our Veterans Issues Board, kind of driving that train. Right. So those are some of the things I've done. We've got a council that works together, a council that behaves, and they're really passionate about our city. And us working together has really helped attract some really great developments, like the BJ's, which is in the Peach County portion of Warner Robins. We have Pratt, we have Keomat coming, which is high-level positions. And we have Emory, who's here, who came in to save our healthcare system. And they look at the city government. They look at what we're doing. They look at how we function. They look at our reputation. Withholding a high reputation is something that is also very important, though it may not be the normal thing that you talk about accomplishing. Right. So those are some of the accomplishments that we've done in my first year. I'm very happy about it. I've got some accolades that they thought would never happen to a girl that looks like me. I was appointed by the highest ranking individual in the Air Force Reserves to be his civic leader. And that's a great honor of mine. Again, a girl who looks like me to do that. I received Women of Achievement Award from the current Lieutenant Governor, a girl that looks like me. Appointed by the former Lieutenant Governor to be on the Commission on Women. Again, a girl who looks like me in House and County. I keep saying that because we already know what it is. Yeah. We've gotten 2 International Smart City Awards. This year, when we received it, we were one of 4 cities in the United States to get it. Our digital Twin City project, which we did partnering with Georgia Tech, Middle Georgia State University, and Partnership for Inclusive Innovation. So I'd say we are on the right track. We're doing some great things. We have the city's best interest at heart, and we still have more work to do. We're figuring out the things that we got wrong. We're trying to build the bridges for things that there is still a need for, and we're doing it, I think, in a smart way. So I look forward to serving in my second term. Just as hard as I worked my first term, I'm going to work just as hard. I might fit in time to get my nails done a little bit more often, but I'm working hard. I listen, we listen, and we need our community to help shape us into being better servants for them. Okay.
All right, Madam Mayor, I appreciate you coming on.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
I do appreciate you coming on. And as always, I appreciate you for dropping in. You know, you always got a home here, and I like partnering with him. Controversial Conversation podcast. He's always doing great things. So
definitely felt it.
So once again, a big thank you to Mayor LaRhonda Patrick for taking the time to join us and share her vision for the future of Warner Robins. We appreciate her openness and the insight she brought to the conversation. Also, shout out to my guest co-host, Mike Jones from Controversial Conversation podcast. Always great having him in the building, bringing that energy and perspective. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, share, and follow, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update. Follow the Soul Fresh Podcast on all social media platforms. That's at the Soul Fresh Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. And go show my boy Mike Jones some love and follow him on YouTube at Controversial Conversation and on social media at JokesTheBaby. We appreciate you for tuning in. Until next time, stay locked in, stay inspired, and as always, stay so fresh.